Hey everybody, welcome to another bonus video. And in this bonus video, we are going to be discussing the discriminant. So what is the discriminant? The discriminant is in the quadratic formula, the expression that you find underneath the radical. And that value, whether it's positive, negative, or zero, can give you a lot of really valuable time-saving information. And we're going to talk about how it relates to the solving, right? And how it relates also visually to the graph, okay? So the discriminant, what is the part underneath the radical of the quadratic formula? Do you have the quadratic formula memorized? I would imagine you do if you are a good student. Oh dear, this is making a mess there. Okay, there you go. So bonus video, there's our little extra title. So the discriminant is the expression b squared minus 4ac, that expression. It is the thing you find underneath the radical, as we just mentioned, right? Now, what is happening? Because of where it is in the quadratic formula, it is under the radical and it has a plus minus in front. So if I have the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus minus the square root of whatever b squared minus 4ac is all over 2a, right? Whatever's under here. If that part is positive, we will have two solutions. Why two solutions? You will have two solutions. Let's do two solutions because of that plus minus. Same over here, two solutions, two solutions. So the plus minus, and then you have a positive number in the radical. That means you have a plus version of the equation for part of our answer, and you will have the minus version. So you'll have two different things going on right there. You have two different things going on, but you will get two different real solutions. Two different real solutions. So you'll have negative b plus something over 2a, negative b minus something over 2a. Now, if that number were like 25, well, the square root of 25 is 5. So you'd have whatever negative b is plus 5 over 2a and whatever negative b is minus 5 over 2a, right? If that number was not 25, what if it was 36? Same idea. If that number was 49, same idea. But if that number was 48, if that number was 47, not perfect squares, well, that means your answer just has a radical in it. And if your number still has a radical in it, a radical is what we would consider, if you can't simplify it, what we call an irrational number. So if you don't have a perfect number under the radical, a perfect square rather, under your radical, you'll just have two irrational answers. And I mentioned in an earlier video that irrational and imaginaries always come in pairs. You'll always have two because they always are born from a plus minus square root. All right. So in either case, if b squared, what's the key takeaway? B squared minus 4ac, if it's positive, which is greater than 0, you'll have two real solutions. And graphically, that means that your graph is a parabola and it's going to cross the x-axis twice, whether it's something like that or something like that, right? So basically, it's going to have a parabola crossing the x-axis two times, two real solutions, irrational or rational. Either way. Next. Now, what if we have b squared minus 4ac, that thing under the radical? What if it's 0? If it's 0, we will have one solution. Why one solution? Well, let's point out here. You're doing plus and minus the square root of 0. Well, what is the square root of 0? The square root of 0 is 0. So if you add or subtract 0, you get the exact same answer. So what can I do? What's the key takeaway? B squared minus 4AC. If it equals 0, you'll have one real solution. And the reason that we'll have one real solution on our graph, graphically, it's where you have your x-intercepts, right? It's going to look something like this right here, or maybe something like this right here, where we're just going to touch the x-axis and bounce off. So you really have like the same, it's going to bounce off and you're going to have the same x-intercept twice, like touch and go one time. Okay. And if you also think about it, if you're really clever and you really catch on, the only part of the quadratic formula you'll be left with is this, negative b over 2a. And does that look familiar to anybody? I'm not going to give it away, but what significance does that have? And if you think you know, leave a comment and show me that you're smart and you picked up on it. What is that part of the quadratic formula really hinting at? And last, if the thing underneath the radical, b squared minus 4ac, oops, if that thing right there is a negative number, so I'll have negative b plus minus the square root of a negative number. Well, what's the square root of a negative number? Again, we'll have two answers because of the plus minus, non-real or complex. In other words, imaginary. That negative number under the radical will come out as an I, and that means you'll have two plus and minus imaginary answers. Key takeaway. If b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, in conclusion, think about why again. You will have two imaginary solutions. Now, graphically, what will that look like? If you have no real solutions, right? Two imaginary means no real solutions. Well, graphically, that means you have no x-intercepts. You either have a parabola opening upward above the x-axis, or you have a parabola opening downward below the x-axis. So that is the key takeaway. This table in the book, if you're the textbook person that made this, I think it's trash, okay? I think this is the worst table, no offense. Well, yes, offense. I think it's horrible. I think it's messy and unnecessary, and it's too busy. You're not getting to the point. The key takeaways, let's just get to it, right? And that's what it is. So that's the end of the bonus video. We are going to use the discriminant in the next video example. Check that out. Check the description box to jump there. Check the playlist that pops up on the screen to find it on the playlist, whatever's easier for you. Adios.